He won Pennsylvania last time by a pretty good margin after McCain made John McCain, Senator McCain, made a last minute or late in the campaign play for Pennsylvania.
No question.
It's a hard state for Democrats, though. You know, James Carville famously described it as Pittsburgh and Philadelphia with Alabama in the middle.
Not true, but
right.
Not
but
true.
A great line, though.
Copy,
you got
yeah.
Would Barack Obama win Pennsylvania today?
If the election were held in November of 2010, no. Yeah. But the elections aren't held in 2010. If Ronald Reagan had run for re-election in 1982, he would have lost.
Right.
He ran 2 years later and won this almost record-shattering landslide.
Right.
So don't count President Obama out. First of all, the oldest adage in politics is you can't beat someone with no one. Right. So first of all, tell me who his opponent's going to be. But secondly, I think President Obama has one task in the next 2 years, or the next year, actually, and that is to show that he can lead. And I think he showed that in the lame duck session. He's got to continue to show it. Yeah. I think there's 3 areas that he's got to make substantial progress on. One is deficit reduction. He's for deficit reduction. His first budget actually did reduce the federal deficit. He's for it, but get out there and lead. Be willing to inflict pain, because we're not going to get rid of the deficit without the infliction of pain. Inflict it fairly on both sides. Call the Republicans' bluff. I think they'll have to go along with it. On energy, we're not going to get cap and trade, but we can get American energy independence bill, promoting renewables and alternatives, making the tax credit permanent, doing a federal mandate for use of renewables, but also put in stuff for natural gas, put in stuff for nuclear. Nuclear has a risk, but it's also totally 100% non-pollutant electricity. Yeah. So put everything together, even put back next generation research for clean coal. And I know people think clean coal is an oxymoron, but let me tell you, we find a way to sequester, we can capture coal, carbon from coal. If we find a way to capture it and sequester it, we are the Saudi Arabia of coal. Yeah. So I'd put that together, pass the energy bill. Right. Education, reenact No Child Left Behind, change it, reform it, do the accountability, do the merit pay.
Reenact it.
Look, No Child Left Behind's biggest failing was that President Bush never could get the funding that he promised.
It was an unfunded mandate.
Right. Largely. He promised funding when he stood with Senator Kennedy. He never got that done. Yeah. But the accountability that the yearly testing brings is absolutely terrific. Yeah. You should see the way it's improved our schools. In addition to, I've had an influx of targeted money for programs that work. Pennsylvania kids were first in the nation on the national test this past year in 8th grade reading. A
lot of criticism of that program, though, when President Bush was in office by people in your party saying that we're basically emphasizing testing over learning.
Look, a good school can do both. They can prepare kids for the test and at the same time continue music programs and continue art programs. Right. You can do both. But let me tell you, before there was accountability, the system was lax. The system had no driving motivator. If an individual teacher was motivated, that class did well. If you could see where there was a great principal, that school did well. Yep. But there was no driving force that held everybody's feet to the fire. And No Child Left Behind did that. And any governor will tell you the same. Don't end it, amend it, and fund it. I mean, another thing that President Obama should do, and I think he's got agreement from some Republicans on this, is have federal funding supplement state funding for early childhood education. Mm-hmm. It is a disgrace that in China they start educating kids when they're 2. Right. We don't. In Pennsylvania, the law doesn't require us to educate kids until 1st grade.